I made a lot of newbie mishaps, and I'm going to share them so you don't do them. Welcome back, beautiful writers. I'm Autumn Bardell, and here you will find author tips, writing tools, and hopefully even some inspiration. I wanted to share all of my newbie mishaps. You know, those things that you did in the beginning with your first book or first couple books, and you said, oh, that's not very smart. I made my fair share, and I'm going to share them with you so you don't do them. Don't worry about taking notes. All of my tips will be on Club Autumn. It is a Facebook group page. Just find Club Autumn. The link is in the description box below. Click on the link and you will have access to all of the downloadable Word documents that I have, all the show notes. Let's get started. Don't forget to save your documents. I would write for hours without hitting save. And I know there are some computers with autosave, but I just don't trust that anymore. So I just hit save every paragraph or so. You work too hard. Your writing time is too precious to have even lost a page. Get in the habit of hitting save. Don't always save your work to one place. No, you want to save your work to 3 places. According to a lot of people who work on computers, they say if it's not saved in 3 places, it doesn't exist. You don't want that to happen with your document. I usually send mine to my email. So as I'm going through drafts, I will just upload, send to my email. And of course, now a lot of people have stuff where they are sending it to the cloud. So that will give you 3 places: your computer, a cloud, and sometimes the memory sticks are okay, but they can be easily corrupted. And send to your email. Or 2, don't eat and drink over your keyboard. I know. I've had quite a few mishaps. I have spilled coffee on my keyboard. I have had crumbs on my keyboard, a lot of crumbs on my keyboard. The thing is, I don't have a lot of writing time, with the full-time job. So I end up eating a lot of meals or snacking over the keyboard. So be very mindful of that. You can buy a screen protector for over your keyboard, or if you have to have your coffee, I have to have my coffee. I am really mindful now not to balance it anywhere and to put it far away from me. And then when I do take that sip of coffee, I am far away from my keyboard. And I think it wasn't even coffee I spilled. I want to say it was wine. And I was devastated. So I dumped the computer out. I shook it out. Luckily, I saved it. But man, I was devastated. Be very careful when eating and drinking over your keyboard. Don't label your final draft, final draft, final draft. Final draft. Really final draft. No, the really final draft. Don't do that. Label each draft that you think is final with the date. This works best for me. And chances are, if you're already working, you kind of already do that. So why don't we think of doing that with our drafts? We think it's the final. Chances are it's not really the final. And sometimes even if you think it's the final draft, you go back and says, hey, there's a typo over here. Then it's another final. So do it by date. And then take those drafts, those finals, and all those dates and put them into an older draft section. That way you always are working on the current draft with the latest date. When I send my documents out to be formatted, always they come back and I read through the formatting, because sometimes it's just looking at it a different way. In an ebook format helps my eyes see other mistakes. Invariably, I find more mistakes. It's already been formatted for publication. So I invariably find the errors. My formatter, bless her heart, she changes them. And I've done this with lots of books before where I found lots of errors, had to re-upload the whole book again. And I ended up keeping all of those Mobi files, ebook files, PDF files, and once again, I didn't date them. So now what I do is I date that Mobi ebook EPUB file, and then I put it in its own file. So when I do another one, the old file immediately goes into the old file. That way, when it's time to upload the actual final EPUB or PDF of your book, you have that correct one and not the ones and the additions that came before it. I can't tell you how many times I hear people say, I uploaded the wrong file. Yeah, it's just a matter of taking an extra minute to type it in or sliding it into another file. Also, what I found when I open up an ebook or an EPUB, I don't know if it's called a cache, it will invariably open up the other one. So I'll often have to clear the cache on my computer or on my devices. So if I'm opening up a Mobi or EPUB, because Amazon doesn't want Mobi files anymore, I'm opening up the correct one. Don't keep all those files that you get, the EPUB and the PDFs, in your downloads folder. I used to do that all the time, and not a good idea. Now I just take them immediately and rename them if I have to, and then slide them into the proper folder. I don't have them hanging out in my downloads because my downloads folder was a hot mess. And you don't really realize this when you have 1 or 2 books, but when you have more, like I have 8 indie published and 2 traditionally published, but 8 indie books, I need to stay organized. Tip number 7, don't give a rough draft or a first draft or even a second draft to a friend or family member who you think might take it, read it, tell you they love it, and then send that to other friends and family members. You know who those people are. They're the same people who can't keep a secret. Here's why you don't want to do that. And I learned the hard way. And I don't even want to say who I sent it to. But that person actually sent a very, very early draft of my first book to all of her friends. And her friends read it. And they said, it's okay. It's the first draft. Anyway, when the book came out 1,000,000 drafts later, they said, I don't need to buy it. I already read it. Only share those early drafts with someone you know can keep a secret and won't share the file. I know they're well-meaning and they want to be supportive, and God love them. But if they can't keep a secret, then they can't keep your early draft secret either. Don't send query letters to your top agents first. I learned this the hard way several times. Evidently, it took me several times. So you get really excited and you have the agents, the top agents listed that you want to send your query to. And so you send that first batch, that first 5 or 10 or 15. And then invariably, as you're going over there, you said, there's a typo. There's either a typo in the first 20 pages that you sent. And remember, they don't like that. Or there's actually a typo in the query itself. And you went, no, you only have one chance to make a first impression. So try to work backwards. That way it's perhaps the agents that were like, I'll just throw this agent in there too. Send that to them first. A lot of times I have tweaked my query between the first agent and the 15th agent. So don't send your first query to the top agents first. Number 9, don't despair. I did a lot of this. I did, truth. I know, it's hard not to. There are so many overnight success stories. Actually, there aren't that many overnight success stories. It just feels like it because the overnight success stories are the ones we like to read. And so that's what we are looking for and what we are attracted to and what sells and what people want to read. So of course, everybody wants to read an overnight success story. And we think, we're not. You're right. Guess what? Join the other 99.9% of the people. It's fine to think it could happen to me, and it could. But your best bet, your best mindset is to just keep plugging along. If you have stories bursting out of your brain that you must tell, this normally isn't an issue. If you love to write, then that's your cake. The rest is all icing. Number 10, the last one. Don't give away your only book for free. I see so many writers doing this. Why? There's nothing else for them to buy. You just gave away the only thing you have. I know a lot of authors who have lots of books will have a freebie or something that's 99 cents, kind of a magnet kind of read this, then you'll read my other stuff. The first book I wrote, I had a free weekend. What was I thinking? I was actually listening to people, the wrong people. I had 1,000 downloads. I don't know, were they just after a free book? It took me another year to write the second. Why was I giving my book away free? I don't give any of my books away free anymore. Well, only if you are a reviewer or book blogger. Then you get a ARC advanced review copy. That's it for today. My 10 don't tips. They'll be in Club Autumn. I hope you will join me next week when I discuss 10 do tips. And I have a big ask. I would love if you would hit that subscribe and notify button. It really helps me get my free content out there. I've had quite a few comments on Facebook where I post my videos say, how come I didn't know about you? Well, I don't have that many subscribers yet, so YouTube doesn't blast it all over. I don't know what page of the search engine it's on. If you learned something, give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much. As always, writers, dream, create, and embrace. Bye-bye.